Okay, so hello. Today we're going to be going over those of you who are joining us for week 2 of our blood sugar challenge. We're going to be going over carbs and cravings today. So, I mean, this is for everybody, but especially for those that aren't used to tuning in every week for our regular Zoom and you're here just for the challenge. This is one of my favorite lessons to give, just to talk about how to trying to think about your carbs in a strategic way. Just trying to teach people how to make that not suck is like my favorite thing. So, and I don't know if that's just because I grew up a little diabetic child and I have been teaching people about blood sugars and food and all this stuff since I was literally 7 years old. Crazy. But I love it and I love having fun with it. And what I wanted to do today is show you guys how to make one of my favorite, super easy, just foundation doughs. I'll call it. Like, it's a dough that you can use for savory purposes, for sweet purposes. It's a really good base and it's super friggin' easy. So I figured I will make that as I'm delivering today's lesson. And then if you guys, as per usual, if you have any questions or you need me to go back over anything, feel free. Let me know. Tell me in the chat. Oh, let me turn off the weight room. Hold on. Okay. All right. So first thing, before I start making this dough, first thing is I want to talk a little bit about carbs and discuss. They're not the enemy here. Okay. Carbs are not the enemy. Even for us diabetics, like type 1s, we take insulin based on how much carbs we eat. People who are not type 1 diabetic, if you're type 2 diabetic, there are still ways to eat carbs. If you're insulin resistant, there are still ways to eat carbs. But it's important to know kind of like what our body does with them and what issues we're having, because then we can, like I said before, we can strategize around it. So let's talk about carbs. When it comes to dealing with insulin resistance, if you remember from the last Zoom, and if those of you have talked to me about it, when it comes to managing insulin resistance, the issue is that your body thinks that it needs to release more insulin than it actually does, right? That last Zoom, we went into detail on that, right? But when you eat carbs, your body's job is to release insulin to immediately convert those carbs so that it doesn't raise your blood sugar, because all carbs convert into sugar in the blood. So that's the big note. All carbs convert to sugar in the blood. But not all carbs are built the same, right? Like the carbs in a banana, you might have 20 grams of carb of banana and 20 grams of carb of chocolate. Those two things are going to be different. And our bodies are going to process those things differently. This is why I try so hard to fight the whole, it only depends on calories. Calories are the whole thing, the only thing that matters. Not for us, because like I said, 200 calories of chicken and 200 calories of chocolate are going to be way different for someone who releases more insulin than they need for that chocolate, let's say, right? So if we're just sitting here thinking about numbers, total grams, total, the calories you eat per day, the amount of grams of carb you eat per day, I don't even like to give clients macros. Why? Because I think it's more about understanding what your body does with them and kind of overall living a lifestyle around it, which we'll go over next week more in depth during our strategy. Next week is a strategy week. But I think it's first you got to know what the hell carbs are doing and what insulin's doing. And then that's how you can build off of that and build a strategy. So if we can learn about carbs a little bit, we can do that. So before we get into kind of how I roll that out, the big thing, because today's lesson is carbs and cravings, they kind of go hand in hand. Put a 1 in the chat if you have ever experienced a craving that makes you feel embarrassed. Put a 1 in the chat if you have ever experienced having a craving and that makes you embarrassed. It feels like a demonic possession, right? Like I will cut someone. I need to get what I want to get. Like it's just such an urge. It's almost like, I've definitely been there before where I've, wanted to go get something. I've had a craving and I went out and got it and it was like messed up, like an order was messed up or something. And I've literally cried before. I don't know if anyone can relate because what I was craving was messed up. And that wasn't when I was pregnant. That's just having screwy blood sugars back in the day. So the reason that you're experiencing such strong, well, there's a few reasons, but there are reasons why you're experiencing such strong cravings. And a lot of them have to do with how your body is responding to the carbs in something and how your body is responding with insulin and what your blood sugars are doing. That is largely contributing to cravings. Okay, so we talked last time about releasing too much insulin. And we now know, like I said, insulin converts the carbs you're eating to keep your blood sugars from going up because all carbs turn into sugar. So when you release too much insulin, your blood sugars actually go too low. And I don't remember, I think I talked about this on the last Zoom, but for anyone who's new here, a refresher, if you've ever had an A1C test done on your labs, that's an average of 3 months of your blood sugars. So if you have insulin resistance, and let's say you're releasing too much insulin and you're dropping too low as a result, your body is going to like create a craving for carbs, for sugar, something that's going to raise your blood sugars fast. And that's why you're not out here having a huge craving for crackers and cheese or an apple. You know, this is why you're craving something like an icy or something sweet or something uncharacteristic for you, something maybe you don't usually want. Even if you've gone all day without eating, those nighttime cravings come hitting. They're usually for something specifically carby, right? No one's out here craving celery. So that is for a reason. That's by design. That's your body's way of trying to raise your blood sugars. Now, the problem with that is that your liver is also made to release glucose, sugar. Glucose is sugar whenever you hear that, blood glucose, blah, 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 blah. Your liver is meant to release sugar to raise your blood sugars to keep you in a good range. That's a function that we all have, right? So if you have a craving because your blood sugars drop, and then you go and you eat something or drink something that's sugary or carby or whatever, and your body releases insulin, and then your liver kicks in with sugar, your body releases even more insulin. If you have a problem with delivering too much insulin, are you starting to see the cycle that forms? So now, because you had that craving because your blood sugars were crazy and you ate for that craving, now your body's releasing the insulin that drops you too low and causes the craving. It becomes a loop. So this feeds into also really something that's really prevalent in our community, and that is binge eating disorder. And a lot of people, you combine like shame and feeling really crappy, the fact that another thing for cravings, we derive serotonin from carbs and from sugar and things like that. So you factor that in there as well. Binge eating is really common in our community. And what do we do when we're trying to quote unquote get healthy? We restrict the hell out of ourselves typically. That's what society tells us to do. Don't eat carbs. Don't eat a lot. Eat less. Move more. That's, traditional advice we have been hearing for friggin' how long, right? Been there, done that. Everybody in here. Nobody comes to me first, So been there, done that. But the problem is that when you over restrict, you set up binges. Even though you might say, no, I'm disciplined. I'm not going to do that. I feel fine. I feel good. Your brain is different. Your brain has recall. It remembers every time that you say no and you deprive yourself, it builds up towards a binge. Then you factor in blood sugar on top of that. And I don't know how many of you guys have been where you're like, oh, I'm doing so well. I'm doing quote unquote, I'm doing so well. I'm doing so well. And then something throws you off. You quote unquote fall off and you go, oh, tomorrow I'm going to get back into it. But by tomorrow, your blood sugars are on a loop already. You're like freaking, like you're going up and down, you're feeling like crap, So all of this is just, it's completely explainable, right? So my philosophy is, yes, we have to change the amount of carbs and the things we eat because our body is responding to them with the insulin that we need to train our body to kind of like get better at delivering. But we need to be aware of the internal like eating disorder triggers that can come with that, especially in a society, especially in bodies where I don't know if you guys can relate. It feels like you could, you could eat ice and gain weight sometimes, you know? So I think it's really important that the two go hand in hand. And it's not like any of us are out here losing weight at rapid speed, because we change, oh, you were eating a little less carbs. That's not what we're going for here. What we're going for here is trying to have our body get a lot more clear on how much of the insulin hormone should be released. Because if it does that, then the domino effect of symptoms that get better, they come afterwards. So how do we do that in a way that doesn't make us feel like we're living on chicken and kale, right? Because who the hell, I mean, I've done that and I don't want to ever do that again, but you know, so exactly, how do we get out of the loop? We get out of the loop by having delicious friggin' stand-ins that are lower carb. And the diet culture alarm bells in my head go off when I say that, but it is what it is, right? Less insulin released, less over release of insulin. Your body becomes used to releasing less, and then things get easier over time. That's what we're going for. So how do we reduce the carbs without hating everything? One, when you're having a craving, it's got to be something that makes your brain think you are really indulging. Like it can't just be like, I'm going to eat an apple, because you're going to eat the apple, you some old leftover rotisserie chicken, a few Oreos, your kid's leftover goldfish from this afternoon, and then before you know it, you're going to eat the friggin' thing you wanted anyway. So it's a convoluted answer, but I'm going to break it down here, okay? All right. Has to be delicious. So let's make this dough. Let's get into that. My work area here is a mess. I like built this kitchen to try and be conducive for these things. And then I guess I didn't do it very well, so bear with me. Could you plug in the microwave for me down here? One of those things being, we put one outlet in this entire island, and it's like the one the microwave is plugged into. So we have to switch back and forth between the computer charger and the microwave. Anyway, all right. This is called only dough. I call it only dough because I think it's the only dough you'll ever need. It is super easy. If anyone needs any dietary, swaps further, like if you can't have almonds or you can't have dairy or anything like that, let me know, and then I'll message you privately some alternatives. But I'm going to give you guys this recipe, so I'll post it as well, but if you want to just write it down, it's 2 cups of shredded mozzarella. Sorry, I'm from New Jersey. 2 cups of shredded mozzarella. You know what I really want to call it? I want to call it mozzarella, but no one would know what the hell I'm saying. So this one's whole milk. I really generally use whole milk. Any dairy I use whole milk. Okay, we got a half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. Guys, if you're going to be doing low carb or gluten-free baking, either one, this xanthan gum is what replaces the structure that comes with gluten. And if you're going low carb, you're probably not using flour, which has the gluten, right? Because that's where all the carbs come in. So you got to replace the structure with something. They make cup for cup flours out there for gluten-free. However, they're typically very carb heavy. Like they usually utilize like brown rice and potato and tapioca, which are all good, but they're not checking the boxes for the low carb here. So I know xanthan gum, this bag I think is like friggin', I don't even know what they go for because I haven't bought it in forever, but I think this bag was like $12 or something. How much was it? Yeah, no. I think it's like $10 to $15 for this bag at a grocery store. And I know that sounds insane. I don't remember like when I bought this. I use a half a teaspoon at a time. So yes, it kind of sucks on the front end to spend that on this little bag, but it's gonna last you. You're not gonna use a lot of it. So don't skimp out on this though. Like don't skip this because your shit's gonna just fall apart and it's gonna be very disheartening. So we got 2 cups of shredded mutts. We got half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. We got 3/4 of a cup of almond flour. All right. So it cannot be any easier. 3 ingredients. Where's my cups? You need to stare at half my face and my boobies. Here you go. So instead you can stare at me putting cheese here. 1 cup. Yes, you can shred your own cheese. I don't see it being all that much healthier, but I will say they usually put like some kind of ingredient on here that stops the cheese from clumping up in the bag. And that sometimes makes it a little harder for it to melt. So if you're feeling like getting a shoulder workout and you have a, a thing to shred it with, go for it. I don't have the time or desire to do that. So I'm just going to microwave it a couple times more. Right, we got our shredded mutts. Right, so what is it, 30 seconds so far? We got, I can't see shit. 3/4 of a cup. Why did I pick this small bowl? Does anyone else do that? You either pick a bowl that's like, oh my God, that's not almond. You either pick a bowl that's like too small or way too big. I do that all the time. So we're gonna do 3/4 of a cup, roughly, of almond flour. Now, before I put 3/4 of a cup of friggin' xanthan gum, what is this? Can't see. Okay, I'm gonna do a 1/2 teaspoon. That's it. That's it. Okay. You're gonna do that. So 3 ingredients in the bowl. Give it a quick little mix. Okay. Literally, why did I pick this bowl? Anyway, and it's gonna go in the microwave for 30-second intervals until, and we're gonna microwave it, take it out, mix it, microwave it, take it out, mix it until a dough forms. It should only take a couple times. So 3 ingredients, stir it, and microwave it, and that's it. Okay. I'd be a good like hand model, right? Thanks. 30 seconds. Let's see, what are you guys saying? Even my husband is nodding his head. Yup. It's not just on the surface, like I love, you guys know me by now, I love looking at the data, right? And I think there's a lot of data in what we struggle with. So carbs is one thing that causes inflammation for me. Absolutely. Oh, I see him in the shadow, in the reflection in the window. See him back there. Carbs are one thing that causes inflammation for me. I think it's not only the carbs as much as it is like how your body processes them. And absolutely, because too much insulin and erratic blood sugars is absolutely going to cause inflammation. And then when inflammation is present, that's when other autoimmunes can pop up or get worse. So it's a domino effect. I know on the surface it seems like, groundbreaking. She's telling us to eat less carbs. We've been hearing that shit for how long, right? Like 20 years now. But I think there's like a way to do it that doesn't suck. That's what we're gonna do here. Are you waiting to say goodnight? Hold on. Just go off screen. We're gonna go to show. Good night, buddy. Bye. Good night. I mean, did I stop screaming like a goblin? Okay, so back. Just not much different here. Back in we go. Another 30. It gives, oh, thank you. It's my little cute little bug. I love him. I like both can't wait to be like off for the night, but I'm also like, I immediately miss him. And I'm like, I just want to hang. But, it's made better by the idea that if he was awake, it would not be fun playtime. He would be screaming. So, but it's an interesting dichotomy. So excited and missing someone so much. Okay. You guys see? Smells really good too.
It's starting to steam a little. Actually, no, it's a little bit crumbly. We can go one more time. Those of you in the challenge, it's been so fun seeing you guys posting and all the messages I've been getting about cooking and the hooping and all of that stuff. I still have to do my hooping after this. Once I'm done here, I'm gonna hoop and then have my very late dinner. And that's why I never, you guys are like, it's so bad, I eat so late. And I'm like, you're fine. But we'll talk about that too. So this is done now. See? That's it. Took what, a couple minutes? Okay. So now, I don't know how, I didn't even think about how I want to make this. I just wanted to show you how to make the base dough. I'm just going to spray a little nonstick on my countertop. You can use whatever you want. Maybe I'll just make them into crackers. Okay. So be careful, it's a little bit hot. You see that stretch when I go to turn it? That would not be possible if not for xanthan gum. So don't skimp on that. All right, and it's that easy. You can, I've put like I've gotten takeout like hamburgers. I've wrapped it in this once it got here instead of bread and just baked it in the oven. I've made little strombolis, roll-ups with cold cuts and pesto. I've made cinnamon roll-ups, garlic knots, croutons, stuffing, cinnamon buns. Like I don't even, I think I said that already. I have done so much with this dough. Okay, so just gonna put it on my sheet pan. Yes, I'm gonna make these into crackers so I have them to pick on tomorrow because they got protein and all that good. So what, I left my seasoning back there. All right. I'm just gonna make them plain. Put some flaky salt. Done. You know what you can also do? You can also kind of pre-cut. So man, I was going great the other way. Super straight, right? Not on this. Not on this way. Oh well. They're still delicious. Doesn't matter. So I pre-cut them. I'm just gonna bake them till they're nice and golden brown. That's it. That's it. So that is the only dough. It is that easy. Can be done on a weeknight. You don't have to take out a million things or clear time in your schedule. It takes 5 minutes. And it just feels good to have a dough. And now that summer's over, it feels like sacrilege to turn your oven on, in the summertime. So now that it's the fall, baking season, right? So another thing, so I have a couple notes here and then I'll give you a couple more tips. So one, just remember, this is to retrain your body. This is to get to the point where you don't react the same way to the foods that you eat. So once you go, if you have a birthday party that you go and what, are you never going to eat birthday cake again? Of course you are. But you know what? You're not going to feel like shit and need a week to recover. And for those of you who are watching, who are trying to watch your blood sugars, and maybe certain foods, they don't make you outwardly ill right away. I talk to clients about this all the time. It's really hard when getting to a place where your symptoms go away is like a compound effect, because that one piece of birthday cake, right, isn't going to necessarily make or break you. But at what point does it start to become a compound effect towards fixing your blood sugars, you know? So the goal is to get to the point where you know how you eat 90% of the time, and then like whenever you eat something that's higher carb or sugar or whatever, enjoying things, it's totally fine. Doesn't screw with you at all. That's the goal to get to. So I know this might be a little bit of an adjustment, you know, when you're like, my food that I usually have is so much more convenient. Okay, but is it? Because if it continues to keep you in a place that you don't want to be, you know, not feeling the best that you could feel, then ultimately it's not the most convenient, or at least not the most conducive. So, okay. Oh, I forgot to say this before. So, a few things to remember about fat and carbs and protein and all of these different things. I want you to think about this whenever you're trying to configure how you're eating, right? The building block of everything is protein. Protein is what allows your body to function, to rebuild, to repair. It keeps all your bodily processes going on. It helps you continue to maintain muscle mass. It is absolutely essential. If you were stranded somewhere and there was no protein available, you wouldn't do very well. If you were stranded somewhere and there was only protein available, you would survive. I'm not saying that's ideal. Please don't do that. But what I'm saying is protein is the main thing. Then you have two energy sources. You have fat and you have carbs, neither of which are the enemy and neither of which are bad. They're just, there's a strategy to working with them and how they affect your body. So I want you to think of, for energy, fat is more of a cognitive energy source. So that's going to be something that will help you more with mental focus and things like that. And then carbs are more of a physical energy source. They're going to give your muscles power and energy and things like that. So both great for us. Now, if you combine the two, that's typically where we run into issues, especially with like weight gain and things like that, because if you have two sources of energy, your body is going to use what it needs to use and store the rest as fat, typically visceral fat, which is the fat we want to avoid. It's the one that attaches to our organs and stuff like that. So that being said, whenever you're kind of like going through your day-to-day life, at least try to manage that. If you're going to have something that is a decent amount of carbs, you might have seen me in the chat in the 21-day group saying this. If you're going to have something with carbs, try to have it earlier on in the day so that you have a chance to utilize the physical energy source that it is, right? If you're having something, try to not have something that's both higher fat and higher carb at the same time, like I was saying. Spread them out more. And that's really the, oh wait, and also glycemic index. So Google, if you're trying to eat something with carbs, if you Google if it's low or high in the glycemic index, what that's going to tell you is that the glycemic index measures the impact that that food has on blood sugars. So if something's high on the glycemic index, it's going to have a high impact on your blood sugars. Like, let's say candy, right? Or like fruit juice, like something that's like a direct shot of sugar to the blood. If something is lower on the glycemic index, it's going to have a lower impact on blood sugars, like strawberries, which are mostly water and fiber. Okay, so those are some things I'm going to explain more next week in our strategy when we're focusing on strategy. So I don't want to, I know you're like, what did you just unload at me, Michelle? I'm purposely being vague because I'm going to give you more detail and I don't want to overdo it. But if you're trying to manage, I mentioned before, not having macros when it comes to carbs, this is one of those things you want to think about. Is it combining fat and carbs? Is it during a time where I'm not going to be very physically active? Can I save it for tomorrow during the day or the morning? Those are just some easier strategy things to think about. Budget your carbs when you're eating out or when you're on the road or you're at parties or anything like that. If you are getting, let's say you order from a burger place,
If they have it available to get a lettuce wrap burger, actually freaking love them. Like I would eat them even if I could eat whatever I wanted because I love the crunch. But maybe you get that so you can have the fries with it, right? And not have to worry about bread and fries. Um, maybe, you have something where if there are side options for something, if you're going to have breaded chicken, I'm just making this up, then maybe your sides are going to be something like green beans or like something else that isn't, super carb heavy rather than potatoes or corn or something like that. So try to budget it while you're out. And a good way to do that, which is my favorite way and takes a little bit of cojones to do it, right? Swaps, and specifically bringing swaps with you. I am not above bringing bread to where I'm going. If I'm going to be out running errands, I'm bringing bread. If I'm going to a party, I'm bringing bread. I don't go to that many parties anymore, but if I go anywhere where I'm not sure about the food, I'm bringing bread. Why? Because if I bring my low carb bread and my gluten free, because that's what I need personally, not everybody here is on that baby step, but if I bring my bread I do the best with, I can enjoy typically something at that event or at a drive through or wherever. So I'm not shy. I don't care. I will literally take a sandwich, like a sandwich bag with 2 pieces of bread out of my purse and think nothing of it. So I honestly would rather do that than even like ask a place to accommodate my order. I'm just going to bring my own, and it makes things a lot easier, honestly. So here are some of my favorites. I actually just re-upped from Nutrition this week, which is awesome. Speaking of cojones, I'm sweating mine off over here. So first one, I haven't tried these yet, but I'm super excited for them. They're the tortillas from Carbonate. This is a really good brand. You're able to find this more and more in stores, but Nutrition or Amazon or whatever has it. These are the tortillas, and I'm so excited. I will let you guys know how that goes. This is the bread that I've had many, many times, and I really like it. If you are gluten-free, just make sure to look for the gluten-free one because they have both. They have non-gluten-free and gluten-free. But this one is in cinnamon raisin. I love it. I'm weird. I don't know. I love a grilled cheese on cinnamon raisin toast. Like the combination of flavors is just so good. I made that today for breakfast. And tons of fiber in these products too. That's what I forgot. Fiber, whenever you're looking at the total carbs on something, subtract the fiber unless you're a type 1 diabetic. If you're a type 1 watching this, text me because we're screwed. It affects us differently. But for people who are not type 1 diabetics, you can take out the fiber from the total carb because it doesn't impact your blood sugars the way that total carb does, but it's factored into the total carb. So a lot of low carb products, if you see that they have tons of fiber in them, that's often why, is that it lowers the overall effect that the carb count has on your blood sugars. It doesn't like get rid of the carbs, so they're still there. That's why type 1s still will notice a rise in our blood sugars if we're not accounting for it, but in the insulin we're taking. But for those who do not have to deal with that, this isn't going to cause a glycemic effect, or I should say the fiber isn't going to cause a glycemic effect the way regular carbs do. So like for example, this has, oh God, I've really made a dent already. So this has 17 grams of carb per slice, where you might be like, oh, that's like a regular slice of bread. But there's 14 grams of fiber per slice. So you could very easily get your entire day's amount of fiber, roundabout, just from a sandwich from this bread. And I really like it. I really enjoy it. I don't even have to take much insulin for this, and it doesn't affect my blood sugars. If you are not gluten-free, this brand, we get them from Walmart. What is the brand even? What is it? Better Way is the name of the brand, or no, Lewis Better Way. I'll take a picture and post it for you guys. But at Walmart, they have the keto Hawaiian. They have the sliced bread rolls, hot dog rolls, hamburger rolls, and the texture is really good. And I really enjoy it.
Plus, these, I think, what did I say? These have protein. These have 5 grams of protein per slice as well. So you get fiber, you get protein, and it's lower carb, and the texture is really good. It's just that the reason why the texture is so good is because they add the gluten back in. So if you are gluten free, this ain't for us, but my husband loves this bread. It's really good for like French toast and stuff like that as well. So yeah, those are the alternatives that I'm working with. These are the swaps that I usually try to keep on hand. I love making my only dough. There's also, if you check the page, there's something called microwave bread, which is another favorite of mine. If you want like a soft, kind of spongy bread. Yeah, I think I'll bump it up in the page. I did a Zoom not too long ago where I talked about all of, like, I think I did a couple of low carb swaps. I'll dig it up in the page and I'll bump it up. But yeah, this is how I work. This is how I try to lower my carbs. Find delicious stand-ins for desserts. So I know a lot of this was all savory focused, but a lot of the cravings that we'll get are sweet in nature. So if you need help, message me. I will gladly help you make something. But right now, especially because like the powers that be decided there was a profitable market here. So the things have gotten great. The selection of sugar-free products over the years and low carb products have gotten amazing. Nutrition's a great source for them. I've talked about it like 17 times on the Zoom, but truly the array of stuff that they have and the prices are, I love it. I've been shopping there for like over a decade. But find ways like I have sugar-free Nilla wafers in my closet. I have my favorite sugar-free banana pudding. I don't like Jell-O's banana pudding. And I don't know if I've ever found it sugar-free, but I get a different one. I'll post a picture. And I'm going to make banana pudding because I had this craving for like the one that had the little chessmen cookies on top of it. I really wanted that. So instead, I bought sugar-free Nilla wafers and sugar-free pudding, and I'm just going to make my own whipped cream and make like a really yummy banana pudding. So trying to figure out like get excited about like I don't think to myself like, oh, what do I really want to have? Okay, let me go make a substitute. I've been doing this for so long that my brain skips over that and just goes, okay, how do I make it? And it just so happens that I make it in a way that doesn't screw with my blood sugars. So that's the part I'm excited to help you guys get to, right? I know this was probably a lot of like rambly information. I am notoriously bad about posting the recordings, but I have the link from last week, so I'm going to post tonight. And I'm going to commit to posting tonight's recording tomorrow. Okay, so for those of you who are in the challenge, you will have it tomorrow. I'm so sorry about the delay. All right, and then I will see you guys back here next Thursday for our final Zoom of the challenge on strategy. How do we string it all together so we're not overwhelmed? That's going to be what we focus on. All right, before we jump, I'm going to check on this and see how that's coming out. But tell me in the chat. I'm a feedback queen. So tell me in the chat what stood out to you, biggest takeaway. Tell me your thoughts. I want to come back and see that chat popping off. Oh, shit, this is done. Okay. Well, extra crispy. Oh, it's so hot. Look at those. It smells so good. Oh my God, I almost burned my mouth. It smells so good. It's like radiating heat. I'm so wetting. What did you guys say? Oh, what is this barren chat? I want to know what are some takeaways? Text me in the chat here. What are some your biggest takeaways, your favorite part from tonight? I love it. I'm shut in my room and miss mine, so totally normal. I love how simple it is to make the dough. Definitely makes my spicy brain happy. It's so freaking easy. And listen, sometimes it is still a chore, right? Like sometimes it just doesn't make sense why our brains are this way. And I think I mentioned this last Zoom was the time weight of stuff. Sometimes it might feel like the time weight of stuff is a lot higher than the actual time it would take you to do. So you might still feel like this dough is a pain in the ass sometimes, but
When I'm in the mood for something and I'm like, I don't know, I want something bready. It's my favorite. It's 3 ingredients, microwave it, done. Super quick. I want to try that dough. Hell yeah. Remembering that it's not what I can't have. Ooh, this is good. But ooh, how can I make this for me and how delicious will it be? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's not what I can't have. It's like how do I make this? I want to eat it, you know? Ordering groceries and getting some things for the recipes that are posted. Woo! That makes me so excited to hear. It's nice to know once some of these changes are implemented consistently, our bodies will adjust and cravings and feeling like crap won't be the normal. Yes. Yes, that's exactly it. And sometimes we might just get used to that like baseline where it's kind of like I was saying before, where it's like, oh, what does it matter? This one thing isn't gonna fix it all. No, it won't. It's harder when you get used to feeling like crap, but once you start seeing how much better you can actually feel, you start feeling like I don't want to ever, like I always want to feel this way, and it gets easier. So that's the end. It's a means to an end. It's not just that carbs are the enemy forever and it's just a diet we have to have discipline for. Nope. All right, awesome. I'm so glad that you guys tuned in and that for anyone listening on the recording, I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, you need any kind of variations to the recipe here or the ones that I posted on the page or anything, I love talking about food. Like I went to culinary school to be able to make dietary foods really yummy. So this is like right up my alley. Like gouge my eyes out if I have to sit there and talk about macros. That's not what I do. So if you want to talk to me about how to make delicious food that doesn't make you feel like shit, I'm your girl. All right. So have a good night, everybody. I will see you next week and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.